StoryCorps CT features interviews gathered by the StoryCorps mobile tour in Connecticut. Maija Earl recalls her son, Erik Sparkowski, being outgoing, talkative, and happy while growing up. But in 6th grade, that all changed as Erik began to struggle in ways he never had.
Much later, we realized that you had anxiety and that you had a learning disability. This wasn't picked up in the school system or by us. And so, not knowing, we took a traditional route of therapy. The therapy only wasn't really getting us anywhere. So the next course of action was to see a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And we knew that pharmaceuticals were attached to that, but we were desperate.
Yeah.
And then you were put on
1 and then 2, and we almost got to 3. I know those medications help so many people, but they absolutely were like my downfall. I guess what I want to know is, what was the process like for you? Not necessarily in like the dealing with me aspect, because I know I was a handful that whole time. But, what was the hinge factor in going down a different path? And how did you get to that point?
Well, as the time went by and the body of evidence grew that you were getting worse.
Yeah.
The physicality of my son was there, but you became this hollow person, this zombie, with this apathetic, I don't care if I live, I don't care if I die, to this very unwelcome stranger that was living in my home that I feared at times.
Mm-hmm.
And it was abundantly clear that, unfortunately, it was more about, is this medication working for you, or I'll tweak the dosage. It was not really about addressing the source.
Yep.
And so I trusted this mother's intuition or whatever, that I knew that the medication, this process, was just masking the real problem.
Yeah.
And then how do we pull out of the system that we were in that is not serving you, and how do we find an alternative route? And would you be willing to try something different and to try something new?
You had such a hard time finding somebody who would be the doctor to titrate me off of medication.
Mm-hmm.
But that was what needed to happen. And it felt like the fog was just slowly lifting, and we got through it. It was the beginning of an approach that was more based around addressing what was going on. Why did I have anxiety? What caused all of this? Actually going to the root of my issues and trying to resolve them in a manner that was hands-on.
Of course, you had to be willing to do the work. I, was playing a supportive role, but once I started to see that it was only over the course of a summer, all the improvement that the son that I had lost was returning, and it was so worth it.
Yeah. I think that one of the best parts about the fact that I had the challenge of having to do it the quote hard way is that I've had plenty of stuff from that point until now, the 7-8 years that it's been, that have challenged me and tested me. But that foundation that I got from having to do that work has ultimately made a lot of those things a lot easier. I'm just glad that even though it took a while, we still got there in the end. And I'm glad I had a support system, and I still have a support system that is so helpful and willing to listen, lend an ear, help out where, I need the help. So I'm very grateful for that.
Erik Sparkowski and Maija Earl in Simsbury, Connecticut. Produced locally by Connecticut Public Radio. See and hear more stories at ctpublic.org/StoryCorps CT.
The StoryCorps Mobile Tour is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.